Welcome back to the Clear Shot Podcast. Today's conversation did not go at all how I imagined. When I invited buyer's agent Tenielle Jordan on, it was to get her insight on what was holding her back from starting a podcast. She's been on the fence for a while about it, and I was interested in what was stopping her. In my mind, this conversation was going to be more about the technical or practical stuff, the time and the money investment, the technical know-how of recording and microphones and choosing the right guests. But what evolved in the studio was a conversation about the big questions. What should her podcast be about? How should it be structured? And biggest of all, how much of herself is she willing to share online? Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So I've got you on today because you're thinking about starting a podcast, but which is a great idea. Lots of people are doing it these days.
They are.
What's stopping you? What are the hesitancies that you see in doing it?
So what's stopping me from starting a podcast are two things. One, it's about discovering what content is going to be interesting to the viewer. So I was thinking about this before coming in today, and I sit there and wonder, do we need to talk about content that relates to my industry? So what I do for my job every single day, but that doesn't define who I am, and it can be a bit dry. So do I want to go down the route of talking data and numbers, which is great in my field, but it doesn't light me up? Then the second option is, do I talk about something that's closer to my heart and start to create content around that? So it's been a conflict of, do I shine in an industry that I'm working in, or do I create a brand that sits adjacent to that to talk about a topic that is completely unrelated to my career and my pathway?
Also, I suppose when I was considering having this conversation, I didn't want to try to convince you to do anything.
Sure.
But more like logistically, I suppose having a big plan of what you want to achieve, is that really important to you before going out and doing it? Or do you think that that's definitely what it would be? Or do you see it changing as you go along?
Yeah. I feel planning before creating the content would be really important. And for me, being prepared ahead of time of knowing what are we going to anchor in this conversation around? Can I create enough content that is going to have interest from an audience? And can I sustain that? Is something that I would need to know.
Really?
But can you tell I'm really in my head about this? Am I
Yes,
overcomplicating it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I asked you to be a guest on my podcast, thank you for doing so, I had two lines.
Yes.
Which was Tenielle's thinking about starting a podcast.
Yes.
Why hasn't she?
Yeah.
And what might other people be thinking? That's all.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find that you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like you can discuss.
Yeah.
Like there's enough going on in your life that you'll be able to fill
Totally.
an hour conversation.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be an hour conversation. It could be a 15-minute show.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be anything.
Yeah.
So I suppose when you think about what is a podcast, do you think about how long it is?
Yeah.
Do you think about, what do you think it is?
Well, I think the sweet spot for me, and as a personal consumer of podcasts, I listen to a podcast when I'm on the treadmill at the gym.
Okay.
So that's 35, 40 minutes. If it's longer than that, as a audience or a listener, you've lost me if it's longer than that, because I can't go back to the trail of that podcast.
You always consume in one go?
Always.
Okay.
So Diary of a CEO,
Yes.
for me, brilliant in terms of hosting, the guests that they have on there, but the 2.5 hour episodes. And for me, it's like revisiting a book, but you put the book down, you read 10 pages, you put it down, you don't come back for a week. Sometimes you need to do the refresher.
Yes.
So if it's longer than the time allocation that I personally have, and it's not necessarily the right judgment because I'm an audience member of one. Other people might have an hour commute to and from work and they can capture the podcast in one day.
Yes.
But if I think about the way that I consume content, if it's within the parameters of the time that I have and I can consume it within 30 to 40 minutes, that for me would be a great time or length spent on the podcast. Or am I thinking too much about myself and not the audience?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Good to know.
Because you can't assume who your audience is going to be, and you can't assume what your audience is going to want.
Yes.
It's really important to look at the numbers occasionally, but also, like, don't get hooked up in it. Your first episode is not going to be as good as your 15th episode, and learning how those conversations go and what people consume is really that feedback you get from talking to listeners at this level.
Yes.
Like, we're not talking millions and millions of listeners. No. We're talking about, trying to connect with some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some is heaps. Some would be great.
Exactly.
So one of the things that I wanted to get your understanding of was, what do you think a recording is like? So do you expect it to be very formal and planned? Did you think it had to be a certain thing? Did you think you had to do a lot of research beforehand?
Yes. So the question you asked me is, do you want to be interviewed or the interviewer?
Yes, that's different again.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that conversation is about being a host or being an expert, right? So the last episode we had was with Billy Bentley. He's a mate of mine who does a bunch of hosting. And if someone wants to go back and listen to that one, it's really interesting because he comes in and just sort of goes, what do you want the listener to get out of it?
Yeah.
How well researched do you want me to be? And then I'll try to provide you with that service. Whereas when you're starting your own, you sort of need to make a decision on whether you're going to be Joe Rogan, who knows nothing.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be an entertainer.
Yes.
And try to make, like the comedian style ones who just try to play with whoever's on their show. Or from a business perspective, do you want people to get your knowledge?
Yes.
So
it's great questions.
Yeah.
I think if the format that I would be looking at, because it wouldn't be business orientated, I would want to blend between the Joe Rogan and second option.
Yeah.
Because you almost want to be the student in that moment.
Yep.
But you want to be prepared.
Yeah.
So it's not hard for, I'm going to say me, to enter into a conversation. But what I couldn't do is just have a linear conversation, because what you want to do with your co-host is pick up those moments that you can go, oh my gosh, let's explore that. And let's go a little bit deeper on that. That's really interesting what you just said. Can we anchor into that?
Yeah, so that's a skill set. Yeah, learning how to do that on a one-on-one conversation.
Yes.
And not hooking back into your personal knowledge or personal, not interest isn't quite the right word, but your personal story and trying to have a blank knowledge set is it's something that takes time.
Absolutely.
So you'll have to start recording before you know you're going to be good at it.
So interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So I think what stops me from considering a podcast, there's, I would say, 3 things that I've looked at. One is time and how much time would I have to invest pre, during and post.
Yep.
Can I fit that into my schedule?
Yes.
And if I want to fit it into my schedule, what do I need to allocate within my business or my personal life to free up that time? And when you're leaning into a passion project, so say it is creating a podcast, you do naturally allocate the time, but you need to make it up somewhere else in the business. So there's that one. It's really that division of, do I make it as me as the expert talking about my field of expertise, or do I come from a life experience line, but come in as the student, just really curious and really lean on who I'm sitting with to help draw out conversation that would become, really important or interesting to listen to. And then it's the distribution of that. So I have, this is going to kill your soul, the worst content strategy in the entire world. And it's literally, I wake up in the morning and what I feel intuitively is going to be a good communication strategy for Instagram or for social media, I'm like, that's it.
As long as you're doing is all
I am doing.
As long as you're doing.
Yeah. So I know that an entire ecosystem is really important for brand, because people will engage with you in their preferred platforms. So whether that's in social media, whether that's email, podcasting, whatever. When it comes together holistically, I think that's where the magic shows.
Yeah. It's also more manageable when you've decided how you're going to do it. You don't have to stick to it, but it is more manageable when you've got a plan.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, does the podcast become the primary communication channel?
Yep.
And then you seed everything else out alongside that?
Potentially.
Or do you do what I do and just wake up in the morning and go, this will sounds good. Let's get it out to market.
I suppose the other one I do want to understand before maybe we go back to that is what do you want to draw from having one?
Yeah.
So like, is it just personal satisfaction? Is it growing the business? Is it is it just enjoying the conversations?
Yeah.
Have you thought about what you're going to get out of doing one?
So good question. I think for me, what I've sought deeply in the last 12 months is my why, right? And when I look at my why, that's why I share with you, do I go down the personal route of conversation or do I stay in my lane of my career? What pulls me into wanting to create a podcast around the why, it's off the back of life experience and what I want to be able to impart to an audience, whether I'm the expert or there's an expert with me, how to navigate seasons of life, as an example. So I now know that at my age and with my life experience, I'm well equipped to be able to tell stories, but I don't want the story to always be mine. I want it to be other people's stories too. So it's an interest point more than anything. And what I learnt in the last 12 months after big life changes of my own was that people have their own stories and they're incredibly interesting if you ask the right questions. And it's also what I'm discovering about people is, and I was listening to this on another podcast, go figure, people want to connect with people who have shared experiences. And they almost want to connect with people who go first in telling a story. And what I learned from that is when you share a line of vulnerability or you sit there and you have a conversation, people can relate to that. So it's the relatability that I want to bring in. Do I think that that will support and grow my brand? Absolutely. But it's also the question of how much about your personal life do you tell,
That's
right?
Different again, yeah.
That's another lane.
You're putting it all out there
You
is
are.
incredibly, you become very vulnerable.
Yeah. And then that's the question of, does that support my brand and help me elevate, or does it hinder my brand and change perception? And, you know, I feel like you always have to freely do things that are authentically yourself.
Yep.
Right? And people will love you or hate you. And those who just ignore you altogether, don't worry about them.
That's also okay.
Yeah, that's okay. So it's about looking at that and ensuring that the reputation you've built for yourself is maintained, but you also need to be human.
Yeah.
And it's that balance of like, how much do I share about myself and my personal life?
Yeah, and is that what people want to hear or not?
Correct.
Yeah, let alone do I want to share it?
Totally.
Secondly, does anyone want to hear it?
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. And I think as well for me, what I do know is in the journey that I've gone on with my personal brand, what I've been very careful of is not sharing my personal life or doing things that are self-deprecating. So I need to stay true to what's authentic to me, but there's like, where's the grey area in it? Because you still want an audience to be a part of that conversation, but you don't want to be the talking point in the wrong way.
Yeah, but you also want to be able to call on that audience
Totally.
when you think that they can provide some value.
Yeah.
Who has an opinion on this?
Yes.
Who has experience with this?
Yeah.
Like an audience can be really valuable for that reason.
Yeah.
And if they know you and trust you and can relate with you,
Yes.
then they're going to give you what you want because you're giving them what they want.
Yeah. Yep.
But a very good point around your personal life.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah. So that has been a resistance point for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm more aligned to talking about where my purpose is.
Yeah.
And I know how much I have to give back in that part of my life. But I don't want it to be, you know, I think about this all the time. If my son was to listen to the podcast, would I be telling the world things that he doesn't know himself? And is that the right thing to do? And that's kind of my North Star all the time. And do I need to have that conversation with strangers, or is it better off that I just use my resources as a vehicle to help other people, which could be an opportunity as well.
Yeah. I suppose by trying to have a conversation about not overthinking it, we've really overthought it.
And this is why you had me as a guest. I told you this yesterday.
But I think that's all really reasonable. But also these conversations are easy. Yeah. It is nice.
Yeah.
Like it's good to switch off and only look at, concentrate on what you want to try to understand about someone. So
I guess this is where you help me, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we're having this conversation today, is you sit there and you go, okay, here's your brain.
Yeah.
Here's everything that you've thought about, which is great. Love that for you.
Yes.
Here's how we simplify it.
Well, the one thing that I think you won't be able to do is not talk about work.
Yeah.
So even if you make the decision that it's going to be a lifestyle or the things I've learned, I don't think you won't be able to talk about work. I think you'll bring it back to that anyway.
Yes.
And I think that'll come through in, I learnt this when dealing with this person on this job. So I think that'll come through anyway.
Yes.
So that's where I'd anchor it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's simple, because for me, my interest point is human nature.
Yeah, and this is where I experience it.
Yeah.
I mean, completely up to you, but maybe if we consider your professional expertise, because it's a big part of who you are, and we take that interest in human nature on the other, how can you combine the two? Maybe it's a underlying business focus, but with people that you find interesting and whose opinion you value, and people who've got a story to tell. Yeah. That's what I think would be most interesting to the audience, because you can't ignore your expertise in something, as in you can't ignore it in the things you say.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a conversation piece I have naturally every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that you don't, and sorry, not you, the thing that nobody understands is that the things that you talk about every day, people actually do find interesting. And it's the same from a podcast perspective. It's like, I'm sitting down talking to Tenielle. It's a thing we do all the time. People go, you're going to actually, in the studio, you're going to film it? Where are you going to post it? Are you going to get any social clips out of it? And I was like, of course we do all that. And how do you do that? Yes. Some people will find that interesting. Yes. Whereas the nitty gritty that you get into, whether it be negotiating or, trying to find or dealing with real estate agents or all the things, that is not necessarily interesting to you because you do all the time.
Yeah.
There's stories in that.
Yeah, there is.
There absolutely is.
Yeah. And I can anchor that back again to be it's the human element.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the work that we do, I always say this, is it's not about property, it's about the people.
Yeah.
The people are the ones that I get to work with the most, and I get to understand people well. So the way that they think, helping them remove blockages, guiding them into decision making. Like, there's some critical negotiations that have to happen, but it's also being very good at knowing people.
Thank you very much, Tenielle.
Thank you for having me.
All super, super helpful for people out there who I think are considering starting one.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly, I thought this conversation was going to be more, how do I do it?
Yeah.
What microphones do I plug in? Can I do it remotely?
Somebody does that for me.
Yeah.
I just assume.
Well, we absolutely do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a much more in depth. That was beautiful. Thank you very much.
How do we plug in the microphone?
I'll do it for you.
Okay. Love that.